Try to give me time.
EGM Network.
Treasure Coast Connector. Connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. This episode is partially sponsored by Libby Weissman and her team at Senior Transition Navigator and Luxury Homes of the Treasure Coast. Libby and her team, they work with seniors and their families to help with all types of transitions, and the services they offer, there's many: downsizing, decluttering, packing, moving, relocation, and more. For a free consultation, give Libby a call at 772-783-2800. Visit seniortransitionnavigator.com or luxuryhomesoftheTreasureCoast.com. Our mental health should be as closely monitored as our physical health. And we have a fantastic resource here in Indian River County, the Mental Health Collaborative. And joining me in the studio to talk about this and all the services that they provide is the Executive Director, Wes Salmons. And he also has an upcoming event in the beginning of May to invite us to. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very glad for you to be here
I'm
today.
very happy to be here as well.
Yes, I really like the work that you do. And before we talk about the Mental Health Collaborative, I think the first thing that people want to know about is a little bit about you, your background, and what made you want to join the Mental Health Collaborative.
Sure. Yeah. So my background, I'm from Kentucky originally. I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains. Went to a small private school there in Kentucky, Center College, and played basketball there. And I've always was into sports. And so when it came time for grad school, I went into sports psychology to begin with. And I thought I wanted to be a sports psychologist and work with teams and things like that.
Yeah.
And the more I started to have applied experiences, I realized that I was more interested in abnormal psychology and helping people who were suffering from some type of mental health issue. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of led me down the road of becoming a therapist. And then I became a supervisor of therapists. And from there, this opportunity arose to work at the Mental Health Collaborative and to help the community on a more macro scale to solve larger problems. Mm-hmm. And that concept excited me. I've always been interested in, the behaviors and how, how your mental health can affect your behavior, especially. Mm-hmm. And so, it's just, it's been 20 some years of experience working in the field. And every day I'm happy to get up and go to work.
That's wonderful. I love that. And, I was talking in the intro about our health. A lot of us, we know that we should eat right and get good sleep and take care of our physical health. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes we forget about our mental health. We put it on the back burner. Mm-hmm. We think we can just toughen up and that's not always the case. So what is some of the advice that you would like to just share?
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there in that, it's always been kind of the stigma of, just, suck it up and get through it. You'll, don't cry. There's nothing to cry about here. But I think there's starting to be a shift and people are becoming more conscious of it's okay to focus on your emotions and how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And being self-aware in that regard is crucial to know, okay, I'm feeling anxiety today. Well, why am I feeling anxious? What am I afraid of? What's going to happen? I'm feeling depressed. Is it because I haven't talked to my friends in a while? What is the root of the problem? And I think that self-awareness is crucial. And also having someone that you can share those feelings with, a trusted friend, a family member that you feel safe to go to and say, hey, I'm not okay today. I don't feel great. Mm-hmm. Some ways to combat that, I think, is through like your physical health and your mental health are very much connected. I encourage people to exercise as much as they can. I think having what I call micro habits, like the little habits that we have each day, like if you can increase positive micro habits.
Yeah.
For instance, I started over a year ago, getting up at 5 and going to the beach, and I'll walk sometimes I run, sometimes I do a little bit of both, but it became a habit. And now it's something that if I don't do it, I feel like my day feels a little off kilter. Right. And so starting those kind of micro habits, making sure that you're eating, a salad every once in a while, eating greens, right?
Yeah.
Eating healthy, eating lean and green, lean protein. Those kinds of micro habits. If you like to meditate, meditating. If you like to journal, journal. But do the things that you like to do that make you feel good about yourself. And when you do that consistently, you start to feel good about how you're living your life.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I don't live that far from the beach, and I think I'm going to get up now. I'm going to get up at 7. 5?
I love it.
No, I'm kidding.
no, I understand. I know it's early.
Like
yeah.
5 when you're like, oh, that's, oh my goodness. But good for you that you do that. No, and I do think that the little things that we do every day, it has a cumulative effect for good or bad. So I like that idea. Yeah. And sometimes we forget about that. Yeah. Those little tiny things, and to check in with ourselves,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And then, as far as taking care of your loved ones too, like checking in with them and seeing how they're doing. And I always encourage people to not be afraid to ask tough questions. There's a big misconception that if you mention the word suicide to someone who you think might be, feeling depressed, right, that it might put the idea in their mind that they might, and then they might actually, die by suicide. But that's not, the data shows that that's not true. Like it's okay to say to someone bluntly, are you thinking about suicide? Okay. And then going down that road of questions, have you thought about how you might do it? If you are thinking about it, and then do you have the means to do it, and things like that. And having that conversation, what you'll find is it helps them to at least know that they can talk to you about those things, right? And it helps them to feel safe and to feel heard, and they know that they can go to you if they're feeling down, and then you can help them to get to a professional.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're talking with them, then they might be surprised, like, oh my gosh, I was thinking like that, but now I know that you care about me and you're asking, and I know that you don't want me to do this. So so that is very interesting, because that is a taboo topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So that's actually very good. So now the Mental Health Collaborative of Indian River County, if you can just give us an overview of the organization, because a lot of people do not know. I think that I like to say that you're a portal, right? When I was looking at the website.
Absolutely. That's definitely one of the aspects of our organization. So we celebrated our 20th year last year, and we're in our 20th year. I apologize. Yeah. So it was started, just basically to increase access to services, right? And to facilitate community involvement in mental health issues. So we like to consider ourselves a backbone organization. So we've been very involved in mental health court in the past, bringing the University of Florida psychiatric services here. And then convening the community when the University of Florida closed, to make sure that those people continue to get resources from the community partners who provide those resources. Because we don't actually provide resources. We, like you said, we run the McCabe Connection Center, which is in its 8th year. It was the passion of Ellie McCabe to start something that helped people to get to the resources that they need. Yeah. And so through her vision, we've been able to link people to providers that take their insurance and can see them as soon as they possibly can. And so that's the portal aspect that you were talking about.
Yeah, and I love that, because if, let's say, a person, an adult, is like, I'm just not feeling quite right, I'm not sure what's going on, or if they have a child, a teenager or whatever, and then it's like they don't know what to do. Right. So then they can actually go to you, and then you talk to them and figure out.
Yeah. And so we ask some very simple questions, and we don't want them to feel like they're doing an intake with us, because we're not providing the service for them. Okay. So we just want them to tell us what they're looking for and what insurance they have, and some simple demographic questions. And then from that information, what makes us stand apart is we reach out to the provider for them and set up the appointments, or set the intake, so that the provider will reach out to the person who needs the services. Yeah. And they don't have to feel like they need to call 3 or 4 different places. So what we find a lot of times is if you give someone a name of a place and a phone number and then send them on their way, they may not follow through. Yeah. Right. So this makes it to where they call us, and it's the last call they have to make, and then the next call is they're going to receive it from the person who wants to provide the service for them.
Oh, Goodness, I love that so much. So now what we're going to do is actually no, we have another minute or so before we talk about the event in the second half. What are some of the like programs that you offer?
Yeah, so I want to mention too that everything we do is free to the community. There's never a fee that comes from the services that we provide. It's all provided freely through generous funders and the grants that we apply for. But some of the programs that we provide for free is besides all the work we do with the Connections Center as mental health first aid. So we've trained over 1,600 people in the community in mental health first aid, and what that is it's an 8-hour class that you take, sometimes a little shorter than that. That helps someone who's not trained clinically to identify someone who might be in a mental health or a substance use crisis and help them to get to the appropriate resources without feeling like you're going to do more damage. Because I know a lot of times you see someone maybe in Publix that looks like they're having a breakdown and you're like, well, if I approach them, I might make it worse. Right. So this trains you on how to approach those types of situations and how to ask difficult questions, but also to be an active listener. And you can, teaches you how to have that conversation with someone. And so a branch of that I'm really excited about is teen mental health first aid. Yeah. And so in this class, teenagers take it and they learn how to talk to a peer that might be in a crisis. Wow. So we know that teenagers a lot of times don't trust adults as much as they trust their peer group, right? Yeah. So if peers can identify someone who needs help and get them to that help, we think that'll really help with some of the statistics that we're going to talk about later. Yeah. Right now we're teaching the class in the charter high school, and we're very excited about that in the after school program. And last summer we did it in Boys and Girls Club and Gifford Youth Achievement Center. And so we're hoping to expand that this summer into some of the summer programs.
Well, that is wonderful. And then before we do cut to break, your phone number and your web address, please.
Absolutely. So our phone number is 772-217-3663. And our website is MHcollaborative. So .org. Do I have it right?
Okay. Is it? It's MHCcollaborative.org.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's up on the screen for those that get to watch it. Look at that.
Look at the screen.
Yeah. Hey, no worries. Yeah, but what we're gonna do? We're gonna take a quick commercial break. But Wes Salmons of the Mental Health Collaborative of Indian River County and we have a lot more to discuss. Stay tuned.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats and chairs, and all the latest styles and colors from Tommy Bahama, Lexington, Hooker, Riverside, Universal Coastal Living, Four Seasons, Braxton Color, and Capri. We're also the outdoor furniture experts and have hundreds of styles of any patio furniture you need, including a gallery of Berlin Gardens and Pollywood. We specialize in fire pits, outdoor rugs, umbrellas, and replacement cushions. Right now, we're having a spring sale with lots of great markdowns and discounts on everything you need for your Florida home, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in the Publix Plaza, Vero Beach. Don't forget to visit our outlet store directly across the street, filled with lots of brand name closeouts and sale items. And visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sturgis Lumber is more than just lumber. Timber! Residential, commercial, and industrial applications. Sturgis has all of the hardware to help with your project. Visit SturgisLumber.com. 4 generations strong, Sturgis Lumber and Hardware. More than just lumber. Mini golf means max fun. Sunset Rotary Club presents Just Putzin' Around. Sponsored by Millennium Cremation Service. Dinner served, prizes awarded, all for charity. Just Putzin' Around. Thursday, May 1st at Big Shots. Call 610-301-4879.
Before she was a legend, she was just a girl with a dream. Beautiful. The Carole King musical tells the incredible true story of a young songwriter who found her voice and changed music forever. The passion and the triumph of a woman who shaped a generation. Don't miss Beautiful, the feel-good musical, now playing at Vero's beautiful Riverside Theater. Get your best tickets now at the box office or riversidetheater.com.
Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, and I'm with the Executive Director of the Mental Health Collaborative of Indian River County, Wes Salmons, and we're going to just jump back into this conversation. I mentioned that you are going to invite us to an event at the beginning of May. What is this event?
So we're really excited. This is the second year of the Mental Health Matters Symposium, and we partner with Sunrise Rotary to put this on for the community. Okay. This is something that, again, is free, and it's for the community. I can't stress that enough.
Okay.
With some of the feedback we got last year is that some of the participants thought that it was only for mental health people in the mental health field.
Oh, the professionals.
Right. But
so this is for the everyday person.
Everyday person, yes, ma'am.
Including the teenagers.
Absolutely. Okay. If they can attend, it's an all-day event. It's from 9 to 3 on May 2nd.
And that's Friday.
At the Emerson Center.
Very nice. And that's a great place to have an event.
They were very great hosts last year, and so we went back to them. And the topic this year is there's a theme. Last year there wasn't really a theme so much, but this year the theme is the dangers of social media.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to discuss this topic and on very different, like varying levels of how social media and just screens in general can affect everyone.
So now, how can people attend? What can they do to attend if they want to go?
So if they go to our website,
and that's the mhccollaborative.org.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a QR code there, and they can sign up through the QR code. Also, they can just show up day of, but we would prefer you sign up before the Monday prior. That way we can get a count for lunch, because lunch will be provided. So we want to make sure.
That's nice.
I want to make sure that we have enough lunch for everyone. If for some reason you don't get a chance to sign up, but then the morning of you decide you want to come, you can come.
Okay.
If you go to the website and for some reason the QR code, you can't figure it out, you can always email us right there on the website.
Okay.
And just give us your information. We can sign you up that way. Or call our office, any way you want to sign up, you can.
Very good. I love that. Yeah. And, it's very important, and I'm looking at this next question about the symposium, because social media can have an adverse effect on all of us. And I am so grateful, Wes. I'm an older lady, and I can tell you that when I was a teenager, there wasn't even the internet. Right?
I think it started when I was in college.
My goodness. So I'm grateful that I didn't have to navigate that as a teenager.
Absolutely.
But of course, the kids are growing up with it, so they learn how to navigate it. But I do remember when social media came out, I kind of held back from it.
Right.
I was late to the game in it, actually. And what is your advice right now for like doom scrolling and things like that?
Yeah. So, one thing that I've noticed in some of the research that I've done, and I haven't gone very in depth, but just kind of preparing for the event, is there is a distinction between the internet, which can be really good in a lot of ways, like information at the tip of your fingers, right? It's great, right? No one wants the internet to go away.
Nope.
But there's a difference between the internet and social media. And I think social media can be very toxic. It can really cause a lot of body dysmorphia, especially amongst teenage girls. It can, you can end up in a rabbit hole of, of all in any direction you want to go. Honestly, there's predatorial aspects to it. There's a lot of dangers with social media, and so my advice is to make sure that if your child has a smartphone or they have access to social media, make sure it's age appropriate. Make sure they are old enough. I would advise no one have a social media account until they're at least 16 years old.
Okay, good. I was going to ask that.
I think that is probably the baseline of when you would want someone to start one. And making sure your child is emotionally, mature enough to handle, some of the feedback they may get if they post a picture on Instagram. So those kind of things, and then. Screen time in general, I think needs to be something that you monitor, and from some of the feedback I've gotten, and we'll talk about the film that we're going to show. A lot of the teenagers now are saying that they have a hard time with face-to-face interaction. because they spend so much time right on screens. And so there is a movement in various states and schools where they're working on actual conversation skills and communication skills in school, because they're seeing that there is just a decrease in people being able to have conversations.
Yeah, and I've noticed that as well. And you know what I'm just thinking of? You brought back a memory I hadn't thought of in a while. I went to a high school where we had socials. We had these just very casual dance get-together kind of a thing.
Right.
And they were chaperoned and monitored. And boy, did we have a great time.
Right.
It wasn't a prom. We didn't have to get dressed up. Like, it wasn't like that.
Right.
Maybe the high schools could do things like that.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. I think that would be a great idea. I know there's some different after-school clubs that have talked about different concepts of doing more social events. And yeah, I mean, I think in anything to get, teenagers in a room where they're having a conversation. One of the kids in the film, he mentioned how he had done something to upset one of his friends and he needed to apologize. And he said that he got really anxious thinking about it because he didn't know how to do it. He didn't know how to actually go to him and in person and say, hey, I'm really sorry for, what I did. So it's learning those kind of skills that, I think that have kind of started. I mean, we know they've decreased amongst teenagers. So
yeah, that is interesting. And then there's all of the clubs and things like that. So maybe within these clubs and even the athletic programs, maybe there can be a once a week that all the team members sit down and talk about the game that they had or whatever, just to get everybody talking.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great idea. So now, what other events do you want to talk about? And is there anything that the community can do to help you, whether it's individuals, organizations?
Honestly, what we would like is for people to participate. We hosted with the school district and Cleveland Clinic, we hosted a parent academy event in March, and we were very excited. We thought it was a great idea. We had all these different speakers on different topics for parents, just to help them with, to add tools to their toolbox. And it was lightly attended, and so that was a little eye-opening. And we know it was on a Saturday, and there were other events, so we're going to try to host something like that again in the fall. But we really just want people to know that when we do these events, it's to benefit the community. We want people to come and learn things. And I know at our symposium in May, you're going to learn. Anyone who comes, you're going to learn something about social media. Yeah. Or you're going to learn something about, teenagers and how often they're on their phones and what it does to their sleep and all those things. So we're going to have an expert on human trafficking to talk about how to talk about how the internet can be a place where that happens. And so a lot of things that we want to do for the community, but we want people to participate. That's the main thing.
All right. And then again, your phone number and web address. Cindy's going to put it up on the screen.
Great. Yeah. The phone number is 772-217-3663. And the web address is mhcollaborative.org. Okay. mhccollaborative.org.
Yes. Very good. Yep. But if somebody Googles the Mental Health Collaborative, it's just right there.
Yeah, it should be.
So that's great. And I definitely don't want to make light of social media, but even I find when I have posted photos of my husband's meals, he's a really good cook, and it's like, oh, he made this and he made that. And my husband has gotten comments from guys, my friends, husbands going, you're making me look bad. So it's interesting, even on adults, the impact that social media can have on us.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you have to take those things with a grain of salt, I think, sometimes. And sometimes just unplug from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so we have just about a few seconds left. So, you know what I want to do? I actually want to say thank you to Libby Weissman for partially sponsoring this episode. SeniorTransitionNavigator.com. They do so much work helping people with downsizing and decluttering and packing and moving and just estate stuff. It's amazing. 772-783-2800, SeniorTransitionNavigator.com, LuxuryHomesOfTheTreasureCoast.com. And Wes, thank you so much for being here. I know that a lot of the people listening to this are like, well, this is what I need.
Absolutely, yeah. Please come and take advantage of learning a lot about social media and
Yep.
the dangers of it.
And that's the end of the show. Ellen Contreras, Treasure Coast Connector.